Welcome back. This is the continuation of the chart analysis of the Bitcoin All-Time History Index. In Part 1, 3 working counts based on observation of the largest available structure were summarized. In this entry, the impulse count will be challenged. This is the logical place to begin. If analysis can demonstrate that Bitcoin has printed a clean impulsive structure, the impulse count remains valid. If not, the impulse count is invalidated, leaving a corrective structure the higher probability interpretation. The time relationships alone are not enough to invalidate the impulse count. Therefore, analysis must look to the internal counts for validation. Analysis begins inside the impulse waves themselves, focusing on NeoWave rules and principles regarding impulsive structure. This examination starts with primary blue, PB, wave 1, and the intermediate pink degree, IP12345, nested inside PB1. At the intermediate pink degree, the retracements of IP2 and IP4 are approximately 90% and nearly 50%, respectively. While the single candle that produced the 90% retracement could be viewed as noise, it remains within legal range for a wave 2. Even if treated as noise, IP2 remains visually self-evident at this time frame. IP4 is also legal, as it does not retrace into the price range of IP1. This is the most proportionate interpretation available for an impulsive count at this degree. Alternative subdivisions introduce additional issues and create proportional imbalances among the intermediate degree waves. However, this interpretation is not without problems, beginning with the first wave inside IP3 at the minor red degree. The most proportionate way to count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulse inside IP3 reveals multiple invalidations. The first clear invalidation is that minor red wave 3, MR3, fails to advance beyond the price range of MR1. The second invalidation occurs inside MR1 itself. A line drawn from the low of wave 4 to the high of wave 1 shows that wave 4 retraces into the price range of wave 1. The third invalidation is the overlap of MR4 into the price range of MR1, which occurs because MR3 never advanced beyond MR1. These issues inside IP3 invalidate the impulse count at the minor red degree. The most proportionate and logical alternative is a WXYXZ structure. When an impulse count nested inside another is clearly invalidated, it significantly weakens the parent count's claim to being impulsive. Because the intermediate degree structure displays clear overlap and complexity in its internals, the intermediate wave count is better interpreted as WXYXZ rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This forces a relabeling of both the primary and cycle degrees. Incidentally, this also opens the door to a fourth count, in which the previously invalidated primary impulse is reinterpreted as a PBWXYXZ, completing a cycle A wave, while the primary ABCDE neutral triangle remains intact and is relabeled as the internal structure of a cycle B wave. This analysis returns focus to the two primary alternatives previously identified in Part 1, cycle green WXYXZ and cycle green WXY. The cycle green WXYXZ count is still viable, but it is more strained. The early relationships are acceptable. X1 is 0.440 times the duration of W. Y is 0.586 times the duration of W. The hidden X inside CGZ is clean and consistent with the archetype. The primary concern is the second X wave at cycle degree. This X2 is 0.978 times the duration of CGY. While possible, this is the weakest proportional relationship among the 3 active counts. The cycle green ABC count is a very close second. CGB is 1.082 times the duration of CGA, nearly ideal duration balance for an AB relationship. CGA, consisting of PBWXYXZ, and CGB, containing PBABCDE, are both structurally coherent. The main open question is whether the large triangle is truly functioning as cycle B. Confirmation will depend on the eventual character of cycle C. The cycle green WXY count is currently the strongest. CGX is 0.283 times the duration of CGW, which is an excellent connector relationship. CGY is 0.695 times the duration of CGW, which is a solid progressive relationship. Both CGW and CGY carry the same primary architecture, WXYXZ. This structural symmetry is meaningful. CGX is a relatively simple primary blue ABC, which is appropriate for a connector. This is the cleanest proportional hierarchy of the three. The fact that the structure is corrective does not negate the impulsive behavioral character often observed in Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies, like many new assets, can display strong directional tendencies while still resolving into corrective structures. The practical stance. The working count is cycle green, WXY. The primary alternative is cycle green ABC. The secondary alternative is cycle green WX, Y, X, and Z. The next decisive information will come from how the current pullback resolves and what follows it. That price action will either support the short connector interpretation, CGWXY, potentially printing a second cycle degree connector, followed by a final cycle Z wave. Or the price action could prove to transition into a higher degree supercycle white correction. On the other hand, the price action could complete the primary blue E wave inside the neutral triangle, confirming the large B wave interpretation, CGABC, and begin a cycle C wave. Alternatively, the price action could force a choice between the more complex WXYXZ reading and the secondary possibility within the CGWXY framework by extending the current structure into a higher degree corrective pattern at the supercycle white degree. What is certain is that Bitcoin is currently in a pullback. The obvious question is how long this pullback will continue and how deep it will retrace. For the cycle ABC count, CGB has already retraced over 78.6% of CGA during the first internal leg of CGB, the primary blue A wave of the triangle. The E wave of the triangle has reached the 1.272 extension of the price reference leg, PBC. The duration of PBE has been 0.382 times the duration of PBA. CGB is already longer than CGA in time. Price action should provide this count with validity over the next year or so. If Bitcoin is printing an X2 in the cycle green WXY count, the pullback has retraced CGY by a little more than 50% so far, and the duration has been less than 0.236 times that of CGY. Considering the 50% retracement, it is less likely Bitcoin is currently in a hidden X wave, so this CGX2 should have more time to unfold. If Bitcoin has completed a supercycle white wave to the upside, regardless of whether the count is WXY or WXYXZ at the cycle degree, this current pullback is just the start of a much larger retracement of the entire structure at the supercycle degree. If this is the case, Bitcoin has already retraced 50% of the entire structure. However, proportionality and structure matter more than price moves alone. So if Bitcoin has begun a new supercycle wave, this structure will take years to develop. Otherwise, the working count or the first alternative count should show validity well before then. One additional observation worth noting, the moving average ribbon on these charts provides a useful secondary lens. Notice how the ribbon's behavior aligns with the key turning points and structural transitions in each of the three remaining cycle degree counts. This relationship between the ribbon and the wave structure becomes clearer when the charts are reviewed a second time with the counts already in mind. The dark blue moving average has recently crossed below the purple. Looking back at previous instances of this cross on the chart provides useful context for the current structure. This is not a guarantee that history will repeat. It simply adds texture to the possible counts. Once a count becomes recognizably the highest probability interpretation, that structural knowledge can then be applied to assess what is most plausible for the developing price action. Thank you for taking the time to explore this entry. Please remember to subscribe and follow NeoAnalysis on X, YouTube, and Substack.